Hey, friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to the channel. So AEW Revolution went down about 24 hours ago, so we're going to go ahead and get your hot takes on the pay-per-view, and you guys had some feelings about AEW Revolution. Let's just go ahead and dive into them. First up, from Josh Tiley, this was the most thumbs up take, and he says, my hot take is, no, wait, sorry, I'm being told I have to wrap it up. We don't have time for it. We don't have the cues, of course. They cut off Sting's promo at the very end. A lot of people here, even in the hot takes community thread, had said, you know, Tony Khan really has to figure out his pay-per-view schedule a little bit better. I don't know if the match went long or if the match ran 3 minutes early and there was no plan for a promo, and maybe the promo was always supposed to be a YouTube exclusive or just exclusive for the crowd there. I don't know. In any event, look, man, I feel like, oh, there goes my alarm. I feel like the people who said that that was a completely appropriate way to end Sting's career because WCW used to end on the cliffhangers all the time probably have it right. I miss those cliffhangers. I wish AEW or WWE or whoever would bring back the cliffhanger because I love when they used to say, time's up, we're out of time, Robin Hood's up next. I always liked that. It was like something about to happen and then they would cut away. I like that. I thought that was good. CZYNX says Tony decided to have Sting retire with the titles just so he could find a way to have another tournament. Tony Khan loves his tournaments. I'm all about it. I'll be honest with you guys. That's one thing me and Tony Khan have in common. We don't have a lot in common. Mainly our checking accounts are not very much in common, but I do love tournaments. Tournaments are awesome. I thought the Continental Classic was an awesome tournament. So if they can replicate that with the tag team tournament to decide the new tag team titles, as I get tongue twisted saying tag team titles, if they could do a really good tournament, I'm down for that. And I kind of feel like the FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club match might have set that up. I was a little bit surprised. As for those of you who actually watched my predictions video, I was a little bit surprised that FTR lost that, and not just lost, they got wrecked by the Blackpool Combat Club. So maybe FTR are going to be the underdogs, multiple time tag champions, underdogs heading into this tag tournament. Be interesting to see who drops into this tag team tournament. We'll find out. Tony the Pokemon guy says the match should have stayed Hobbs, Archer, Wardlow. Adding all those extra people made no sense, and Jericho didn't need to be on the card. I guess the idea behind that match originally was it wasn't just going to be those three guys. There was also going to be some other meaty competitors in it. But I agree with this. I think that it should have just stuck to the three guys because this match was an absolute disaster. The All-Star Scramble was a mess. It was directionless. They really should not have done it. It was just sort of to fit, I guess, Jericho and Hook onto the card because those are the only two real other significant names, unless I'm missing somebody else. Who else was in there? It was Magnus, it was Dante Martin, and then the one other guy, I forget who it was. Brian Cage, that's who it was. They could have added Brian Cage as a fatal four-way, and that great bit where everybody starts flexing on each other could have stayed in the match. You might have had a really, really good fatal four-way. Brian Cage is a really fun wrestler. You pretty much put him in any situation and he's gonna thrive as an in-ring guy. But yeah, I kind of agree with this. I kind of feel like Hobbs, Archer, and Wardlow, screw it. Just put them all in a triple threat and you'll have something probably pretty good to come out of it, because I don't think this match really didn't do a whole lot for me. It really should have ended with Wardlow just powerbombing the shit out of Jericho and everybody just sort of paying attention and rooting him on. But that didn't happen. E. David Bruce says Darby did not need to take that bump. Man, a lot of you guys agreed with this, and if you look at social media, a lot of other people agree with this. I'm going to fast forward to another take here, so hold on, just wait a second. The SGG says Darby's going to jump off this mountain he's wanting to climb, isn't it? You just call it any old mountain. This is Mount Everest he's looking to climb. That ain't just any old mountain, pal. But hold on, there's another take here about this. I want to get to that. Strange Will 97 says people need to stop pearl clutching about Darby's bump. It was cool, and compared to Mick Foley's whole career, it was tame. Darby's fine. It was announced for a match at Big Business. He's a hardcore guy known for doing blah, blah, blah. I get your point. And Strange Will, I agree with your take. I'll be completely honest with you. I'm not necessarily a fan of when Sammy Guevara and Darby Allin do these crazy bump spots. However, they're grown-ass adults. They can do what they feel comfortable doing. I don't think Darby Allin's going to go into his, I don't know how old he is now, but I doubt he's going to be like 35 continuing to do these bumps. Will Ospreay used to do crazy shit too. He adapted his style once he realized he's getting up there in age and you can't keep one-upping yourself. That's just Darby Allin. Some people are built different. I'm glad that he seemed relatively okay after that spot. It didn't seem like it was the kind of thing that was like life-threatening. And that's just who he is. And that's how he elects to carry himself in his matches. I do kind of pearl clutch during those spots. That's just me because I don't necessarily need to see that stuff. But a lot of people love that stuff. And more importantly, Darby Allin loves to do that stuff. I kind of feel like if he didn't want to do that stuff, he wouldn't do it. And I kind of feel like between his presentation and his creativity, he could probably find a way to adapt and become a different type of wrestler while maintaining his identity. I don't think he needs to do that stuff. I think he enjoys doing that stuff. He enjoys pushing himself to the limit. And if that's his business, that's his business. I'll just sit back. I'll pray for the guy. I'm not very religious, but I'll pray for the guy and hope that he's okay. You know, it's fun to be young and dumb, I guess. But hey, good for him. Hopefully he finds that Mount Everest and he decides to climb it. That's some that's even more dangerous than jumping off a ladder. If you ever get a chance to find any videos about what it's actually like to climb Mount Everest, oh my God, it's not just climbing. You have to like go over these giant gaps in the snow and in the mountain where if you fall down it, you'll certainly die. It won't be just a ladder on top of some chairs. Oh my gosh. But anyways, yeah. Darby Allin, hey, he's a big boy. Let him do what he's going to do. That's my hot take. Here's a real positive one from Ocean Osborne. He says, it makes me feel so good to see Kyle O'Reilly back in a wrestling ring where he belongs. He has such weird, unique charisma that really makes him stand out besides just his whole technical wrestling ability. I love him as an in-ring guy, as a wrestler in the ring. I love Kyle O'Reilly. I really loved his time in the Undisputed Era. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have for him. Hopefully, he is 100%, and whatever his ailments were, he was able to get past them, heal up completely, and we'll get to see some of the Kyle O'Reilly of old, because he was one of my favorite in-ring guys, similar to Roderick Strong. His character stuff didn't always vibe with me, but in-ring, I always thought he was absolutely top-notch. Good to see him back, and I hope he gets elevated to a high spot, assuming that his body can hang with what he wants to do. Officer Dude says if Garcia doesn't drop the dancing soon, his career's in danger of becoming the new Das Wunderkid / Disco Inferno. Alex Wright. I remember Alex Wright. I'm not a huge fan of the dancing thing. I feel like at this point, it's just a weird blend. Like, the dancing thing probably should have gone away once the Jericho Appreciation Society went away, but that just sort of melted away. So I'm hoping by the end of the year, he'll get rid of the dancing thing. It just doesn't fit well. And I feel like the dude has more personality to showcase that needs to be showcased instead of just the dancing thing. That being said, his Tron, which the middle section is just him doing that dance in slow motion, makes me laugh every time I see it. That being said, I kind of agree with this. I think the dude's got enough personality than to have to rely on the dancing gimmick. I just sort of don't even get it at this point. Made sense back when he was a sports entertainer, but you know, he's clearly transitioning to pro wrestling guy. So the Geek Within says Christian should have dropped the TNT title. I agree with this because he was up against Daniel Garcia, and I thought Daniel Garcia would have been a great name to carry that TNT title if you really want to focus him as a building block of your future. I think that would have been a great move for them, but it seems kind of obvious now that Cope is the guy that's going to take that TNT title off of Christian in a more permanent fashion than he did last time he took the TNT title off of Christian, and he'll probably hold it for a while and then put somebody else over, maybe Daniel Garcia in a friendly feud. But yeah, it seems kind of obvious that they want another big name to carry that TNT title, and that's going to be Adam Copeland. So, but yeah, I kind of agree with this. I think Daniel Garcia would have been a good TNT champion. Huntsworth Doom says, when the first Sting son came out, I thought it was Ronnie Garvin for a second. Not sure what kind of take that is. It's a very confusing take, but I like that take. I think it's an interesting one. When he came running out, just because me and Larson are old, Larson just straight up said, "Oh my God, he's Surfer Sting." And then they like zoomed in a little bit and it's like, that's definitely not Sting right there. And then Wolfpack Sting, the other son, comes out, and he just sort of didn't want to even look like he didn't even want to be there. Killian Sawyer says Takeshita's one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now. He's got it all. If he plays his cards right, I could see him being bigger than Naito, Okada, etc. We'll have to see where his career goes. However, it all depends on how AEW sees Konosuke Takeshita. Last night, at Revolution, it was a phenomenal match. Him and Will Ospreay, just absolutely top-notch stuff. I agree. I think he's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. But how are they going to make him feel like he's a real threat if all he does is lose huge matches? I know he beat Kenny Omega, and I was kind of surprised about that, and that was awesome. But I kind of feel like he needs to get a win over a big name for me to believe that he's going to be considered seriously with the Ospreays, the Okadas, the Jay Whites, even though Jay White is sort of stuck doing absolutely nothing right now. I agree. I hope they really focus on Takeshita. I think he's a terrific talent. Alien 3 says, I honestly don't know if I care about Wardlow as a top contender. His promo was good, and I'm glad they're doing something with him. But they have a long way to go in making me feel invest him as a title threat. I agree. I feel like he's probably going to take on Samoa Joe at either Big Business. I feel like Swerve is going to win at Dynasty, but I feel like Wardlow is going to lose in between now and then. And then maybe Undisputed Kingdom's going to jump him out of the group. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I kind of feel like when you look at Wardlow now, a guy who wears his hat backwards and wears Muscle Man shirts, versus Wardlow back when he was with the Pinnacle, wearing those nice suits, looking like a dapper guy and not speaking a whole lot, they're two different people. One of them is much more interesting than the other, and the guy who's not as interesting as the Wardlow we have now. I feel like he needs to go away and come back as suited Wardlow, who doesn't really talk a whole lot, because there's something to be said about that. Right now, he's just doing, and as decent as his promo was on Saturday, it's just him screaming at the camera, sort of airing his grievances. The Jericho bit that he went back and forth with was awful. Wardlow's wasn't bad. Jericho's was terrible. But I do think that going back to that Wardlow somehow, some way, and I don't know how you write him back into suits, but like that, if they can recapture that with Wardlow, then I think he would be a threat. It's just unfortunately over the past 2 years, ever since the MJF match, man, it's been nothing but downhill for him. So he needs to be coming back up. I don't know how. Write him back into a suit somehow, Tony. Ooh, deep voice dude with a hot take says Ospreay can't sell to save his life. I see why people compare him to Rollins and Ricochet. And just like those two guys, he won't be a draw. Seth Rollins not a draw? You're crazy. Anti-draw. I don't even know what that means. Will Ospreay can totally sell. He's like one of the best wrestlers on the planet. I love that match with Konosuke Takeshita. Thought it was phenomenal. Gonna have to hard disagree with deep voice dude here. Man, I love me some Will Ospreay. Callum Shannon disagrees with the finish to the match. Says 64-year-old Sting ending his career 29-0 is a bit ridiculous. Sorry, but I'm a believer if you should always go out on your back. Man, I get that philosophy. I understand that philosophy. I think Sting is a different case, though. He had a hell of a run in AEW. I loved it. There was another take in here that said that he's like super selfish, or maybe it was in our YouTube comments. I don't know what. But I disagree with that. I think that Tony Khan showcased him as a big deal, as kind of the Undertaker of AEW. Undertaker didn't lose a lot. He lost, once, twice, 3 times around, however many times he lost to WrestleMania. Only 2 important opponents. And Sting got like the VIP treatment. And I'll be honest with you, I think he was used really, really well there. I don't think he was the kind of guy who needed to go out on his back. Could somebody have benefited from that? Could they have done a Darby versus Sting thing where Darby wins? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it the way I saw it with The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar beating him. I don't really see it for Sting. He was such a unique individual. I thought it was a great celebration. I don't think you do that in front of that crowd. I don't think you have Sting go out on his back in front of that crowd, regardless of who it's against. I think you win. I think it was the right call. I think it made that crowd go home super duper happy. RJ26 says the timeless Tony Storm character jumped the shark a while ago and is killing the women's title. I kind of disagree with this one, but I could see other people agreeing perhaps. It is a gimmick that might have a limited ceiling. I think we might be approaching that, but I do like the feud between her and Deonna Purrazzo. referencing their past. The match itself kind of wasn't my favorite, though. I feel like there was something missing from it. I don't know what. It felt more like a Dynamite match than like a pay-per-view level match. Maybe if they take it to a second match, it'll sort of be like what I was hoping it would be. And I don't even know what was missing from it, but it felt like something was missing. There was an urgency, there was a tension, there was, I don't know, some drama missing from the match that I hope they get back. That being said, Tony Storm, in my opinion, can do no wrong. Every single vignette, I find myself laughing and cracking up. I really love the character, and I like how they did the whole like split screen black and white color thing for a lot of the promos. I thought it was cool. I didn't think it was goofy at all, but hey, to each their own. Colorful Blackbird says Hangman Page, one of the greatest all-around wrestlers in the industry today, especially in the ring, but I think he's a really good promo too, and he gets taken for granted too much. I will agree with this. I think that this iteration of Hangman Page is by far my favorite iteration of Hangman Page. Maniacal, gone over the edge, done this bad guy turn where he's hitting refs and he's hitting people with the title. I thought he was the standout thing about the match, the triple threat for the world title, him beating up on refs, him being so obsessed with Swerve Strickland that he ended up having to get tapped out by Joe in the end. But can't be too upset because he kept Swerve from getting that title. I love this version of Hangman Page, and I look forward to seeing more of it. Thought the match was really good. It probably wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, given the participants involved. Thought maybe a little bit more drama could have been good, but I thought it was a really good match regardless. And that's gonna do it for your hot takes from AEW Revolution. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. She has been sleeping this entire video, just knocked out. I gave her some druggies today, some little painkillers for her arthritis, so now she's knocked out.